What is up, everybody? How we doing?
Going on, people?
Devon, Patrick, Greg, another Patrick. There's a lot of Patricks in this group.
Yeah, but only one that only has a C.
What's that? Only one that
A lot
what?
of people using K's in their name.
That's true. It does seem wasteful. Seems
Yeah,
unnecessary.
extra digit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Who's got some wins? Let's get
Yes,
some
we do.
energy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I saw Alfredo. What do you got, man?
So it's pretty jazzed. Website rebuilds, a couple of those, GMB verification. I got a couple of those today. And to be honest with you, along my journey, I'm headed into like month 2 of like recurring business, SEO package going on month 2. And that's a big win for my journey and process. So stacking.
That's super cool, man. Yeah. I didn't realize that you were only 2 months in. Seems like you've already kind of
Well, I've had some projects, but they're like one-offs,
yeah.
nothing like, all right, I'm going to be with you for, 90, 60, 3 months, 6 months, a year. So yeah, super jazz. Learning I had a call with Jeff yesterday or the day before, learning the software a lot more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm making a big push towards getting our training into the platform here. So we have gone through and he's worked with someone to basically split a lot of the videos into sections. And we're going to take these videos and load them into the LeadSnap platform, as well as build in all sorts of training. I plan to have some like SOP documents and stuff inside the software and kind of make that a repository for you guys to find stuff, a library for you guys to have, a resource library for you guys within the platform. So I'm excited to get that out. I know that we had a win from Jimmy White. He was saying that he sold, I don't think he usually joins the calls. I think he usually watches them later, but he did he sold a lead gen up front with the startup fee. And so that's kind of cool to see that method going into place. That's exactly how we do it. So I know that it's tested and works. So like the problem that this solves, to take the startup fee and then to not charge somebody a monthly until you have leads coming in, it takes a lot of the pressure off of you to deliver, right? And it keeps a better relationship with your client, because I don't know about you, but it's been a hard time for me to get leads coming in the first month or the second month, and especially even in the third month. Or I tell people, and I think it helps build trust, that we can't guarantee when the leads will come in, right? We know that we're going to win, and the reason we set this up, I actually will state in my pitch that a lot of other SEO companies are going to charge you a monthly fee from the beginning with like a promise that they're going to get you on the first page. We decided to charge a startup fee. A lot of times we're going to go into the red, but we're going to get there and we're going to make it on the back end. But we need you to have some skin in the game. We need to know that people are serious. We have other people waiting for our services. So, it's important that we both have a stake in this, and we want to offset some of our costs, because we're putting a tremendous amount of money and effort into this. And so people have been cool with that. And I think, Jeff, you can speak to this because you've been on both sides of this, how we used to do it with how we do it now. What's your experience been with that transition?
Yeah, it's been very good. I have definitely seen a lot of confidence, I think, from the people that I pitch in that way, because you can just position it a lot differently. And it just doesn't, I think it comes across like people understand and recognize that you're not just trying to get as much money out of them as you possibly can, as fast as you can, and that you really are. I mean, it's a real confirmation to them that you're building a long-term relationship. And that's the kind of language that I always use when I'm pitching, is like, I want to be working with you 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road. Like, let's build something big together. And I don't think they really believe that just by saying it once. Like, you have to back that up with these different points of like, hey, I'm only going to charge you the startup fee, cover my costs. We're going to get in the game together, and then we'll figure it out from there. I think that really speaks a lot to, the value of what you're saying and the truthfulness of the relationship that you're trying to build overall. That makes sense.
Yeah,
You're trying
absolutely.
to do that, the group thing.
I'm trying to work on that a little bit here. So let's hear who else has some wins. Jeff, if you can take over for a couple minutes. We're still having some technical difficulties getting this to stream into the group. So Jeff, take over for a couple minutes and let me try to solve this problem.
Yeah, sure. Let's see who we have here. We have Graham and Spencer. They're very quiet. Patrick, quiet. Like you guys usually have some wins. Anybody besides those people have wins?
Yeah, I can go. I didn't even get to be on the call last week, so I can chime in. I wasn't even on the call last week. I actually gave myself some time to rest. I wasn't feeling that well last week, so
I hope you're feeling better, Devon.
Oh yeah, I just needed some rest. Cool. That's all it came down to.
Sometimes that's what we need.
Yeah, but a great couple of weeks. I know. I'm not sure, Jeff, if you and I talked about it, but Patrick, I know you and Patrick with just the C. You and I have just talked about it in the past of just joining traffic and funnels a few weeks back now. And really the last couple of weeks, it's been just different types of wins. It's not just like immediately closing into these immediate higher clients and like crushing it, but just the taking a step back and actually even figuring out like to a T, okay, who do I even want to work with at this point? Like that level of clarity has been huge. What exactly do I want to offer them? How do I want to sequence that offering and like create a timeline to help with setting expectations for it? Like that level of clarity that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks, it's been a huge win. It's just been the target's never been clearer for me on my end.
That's awesome. Sure. I mean, that kind of clarity will really move you forward in a big way when you can confidently and without any kind of fear or, judgment on yourself, like turn people away if they're not the right client, or you just sense something's wrong. It's like, I know this is going to be a hassle. This client is not going to be the right client for me. I'm going to spend too much time, make too little money or whatever. It's just not what I want to be doing. So that kind of clarity can be very, very valuable to move forward.
It's been so easy to say no now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's empowering.
But mean it. It's what's best for both of us. Then I'm not trying to be all things to all people, which I think it's been like that clearing that mental hurdle and not just looking at it as like, okay, well, this adds to the bottom line of my revenue, but I can actually say no to someone and know that when I do finally want to work with someone, that I'm going to be the best person for the job for them.
It's definitely easier to say than do. So congratulations to you for identifying a little bit more who that ideal client is for you and taking action to put them in your wheelhouse. Because that by turning down the stuff that you don't want, you'll find more and more of the stuff that you do want. That's the way it works.
Oh, absolutely. And to build off that too, I'm actually offboarding one of my clients who currently for an SEO deal, and just getting feedback from him and just hearing like how to grow, and just hearing him say that he had no complaints, with how our deal worked out was, I was hoping for some feedback, but obviously it's still great to hear that he had nothing but a great experience working with me through the deal, like through the site build and rebuilding out his GMB and ranking him in the area. It's been
so you just got kind of to the end of that deal. You didn't decide you didn't want to work with him anymore, and then we're
going to work on a future project. He's outside of a bigger city, and so he just hasn't grown to handle the capabilities within that market. But so what I told him that I'll start to do already is just get a property set up in there, so that when he's ready to start to enter into that market, we already have something going for it. So we're going to be working again in the future. It's just how do I phrase this? One of the things that I used to offer in the past was like maintaining someone's website or GMB and things like that at a much reduced cost, which has started to take up more time without really adding anything to the bottom dollar here. And I just told them, look, that's just something we are going to be stepping away from in the future. So we won't be doing that, but we are going to transition more into a lead gen role if you're interested. And he was already just asking about keep me up to date with what services you're offering. We'll let you know when we're ready to get into that bigger market. And he's going to be a repeat customer in the future, 100%.
Right. But you're going to put him in a different kind of a deal.
Yeah, he's going to be turned into a lead gen client. Like he was an SEO client that's going to turn into a lead gen client.
Right. Awesome. Well, that's great. You built that relationship, and he has had good results. It's always a good thing to plant the seed. I think in any kind of exit sort of conversations, like, hey, you have been a great client. If you have anybody in your wheelhouse who needs these kinds of services and who might be up for the lead gen type of a deal, send them my way, and we'll figure something out. Figure out some way to get you compensated along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to get a video testimonial from him. And then also too, with that Facebook group I got a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to set up an interview with him for him and I to talk about his experience. So.
Right. Awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Congrats, Devon. That's awesome to hear, man. I know that's a big step. It doesn't sound like that big a deal, but it's actually like turning a corner. I've said this a lot to you guys, and some lessons, myself included, people can tell you and you don't hear it. You have to experience it. And then you can make the decision. And I think a lot of you guys are, in my opinion, kind of wasting time by doing some of these services for other people where you could be building out your own stuff. If you were to calculate the hourly wage, you would never do some of this stuff like creating a logo for them or something like that. Like, because what is that, what are you going to get for that? $100, $200, but you could, if that takes you 4 or 5 hours of managing that back and forth, it's approved, it's not, change this, do all this different stuff. Like, what if you had applied that same amount of time towards building out a site that pays you $1,500, $2,000 a month? It gets pretty lopsided after, the first month you're like losing to the logo, and then you're losing a little bit less. And then what does that look like 6 months, a year from now? And if you continue to make those decisions, it becomes very expensive, and it prevents you. You kind of like start spending your time doing all these things that aren't really moving you forward. It's expensive. You just don't know it yet. And I heard people say that, and I didn't listen. I need some quick money. And then, looking back on it, I'm like, I wish I would have listened. And now I'm on the other side of it, and I can feel people. I talk to them like, hey, what are you struggling with? We get in a conversation. I'll, give them my 2 cents, and then talk to them like 3 or 6 months later, and they're in a similar spot. And it's like, well, it's hard when you're trying to help people get out of their own way. And just like we're doing with sales, right? Like when we're trying to sell these contractors, they're scared, and we're trying to help them get out of their own way so we can help them. And I'm trying to do the same thing with you guys. So Devon, it might sound like a small deal, but I think it's actually a huge deal. If you can be like, we all have the same amount of time, right? The homeless person and the billionaire has the same amount. We both have 24 hours in a day. Just like, how effective are you with your time? That's what it comes down to. What are your habits and by habits, what are your daily actions that are contributing to your success or not? And, no matter what age you are, if you're a part of this group, there are people that are, Jeff and I ran into a 24-year-old kid that's doing a couple $1 million a month. Like, I know that's certainly where I was in, but his habits are very different than most 24-year-old kids. And, it's completely in your control to make these changes, but you guys have to have enough discipline. And I still struggle with this myself. I get sucked into things I shouldn't be doing. And Jeff's always in there like, you shouldn't be doing that, so, but we have to be like,
I'm like, all right.
What's that?
And then you're like, hey, here, you do it.
Yeah. I'm like, please, you do this. You're right. All right. So I think that's a huge win though, Devon. So congrats, man. Who else we got? Wins.
I
Let's keep them flowing.
Spencer's got something to say.
Spencer, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? I'm back from the East Coast. I couldn't get on last week's call out in the Boston area visiting my sister, but couple wins, man. I want to say it's been really cool. I've connected here recently with like three of the guys that are on the call, and it's really cool. Devon and I were on a long Zoom call last night, man. We probably both affected our businesses in somewhat of a negative manner, but you know what? I got to know Devon a lot better, and I would encourage everybody on this call to reach out to members of this group. I've recently connected with Graham. Him and I spent like an hour or two on a call here a few weeks back, and then Alfredo and I were on a long call today as well. So that's wins because, like I was speaking with Devon last night, I'm a firm believer that we're all brought together because we do similar type of business. But if we can find the real reason why we're brought together, Devon and I's have a lot of similarities with what's going on with our partners with disabilities, and so it's like it's kind of refreshing, as sick as it sounds, that we both have similar situations where we can now rely on each other or bounce stuff off each other because things are very similar. So that's
yeah,
just
I don't think that sounds sick at all, man. It's you got like you guys have found a commonality, and a lot of times when you're going through, I know specifically what you're going through, Spencer. I mean, it can feel very isolating when you're dealing with that, and to have somebody else. And I, like, honestly, you guys need to strike a balance with the time that you guys spend with each other. It's important that you spend some. I don't think it's a waste of time. And I wouldn't be where I am without the relationships I made along the way. Like, there's so many little adjustments that I can look back on where, I'm like having a conversation with somebody. We're both, there's a number of people that we kind of came up together, right? Where we were both at 0, and then we both got to 10,000 and 30,000 and 50 around the same time. And there was all these little conversations that they've said where it's like you guys heard, for those of you guys that watched the call with John, he said, hey, you said this and it helped me. And I have those about him too. Like, we don't realize some of the little things that we take for granted that are working well in our business that someone else hasn't figured out, that seemed obvious to us. And it's the same for them. They'll make some like comment in passing, and it's like, oh, that's how you do that. That's how you think about that. Let me rework that. And you guys got to have those conversations. You've got to be plugged in, being a part of this community. This is awesome. Like, it is so cool to see you guys working together and helping each other, because that's what we're trying to build here, right? We're not charging to be in this group. We're trying to create a safe community where people can help each other. And like, we want a mindset of abundance instead of, hey, I'm not going to tell you how I do this or this, because I believe there's so much for all of us, right? If you think about, like, we could probably, if we were all in the same city, then it would be a problem. But with all the cities around the world and all the different niches, like, it's going to be a long time before I would be so proud if we made the world a more competitive lead gen place, but we're just like a million miles away from that. So having you guys in there sharing, this is so cool, man. This is like, and you guys get in the position to do what like people did for me. Like, I was tuned into calls and groups, and I was learning, and I was like going through this stuff. And now I have the opportunity to help other people. And by helping these people, you guys get the opportunity to, like, this butterfly effect just keeps going. It's awesome. So cool to be a part of this. So
yeah, it's really been cool to connect with people. I think it's a little bit more important nowadays, since most of us been pretty isolated for the last few years. So just having just somebody to interact with, because I'm not obviously talking to strangers at the grocery store these days. But a couple wins on the business side of things. We had a third 25K plus month in a row. A lot of that
so cool,
has
man.
to do with
That is awesome.
prospecting methods, man. Things like, I was having this conversation with Alfredo earlier. What I've found is, if I can take things that seem super overwhelming, at least for my mindset, and if I can break it down into bite-sized pieces, like, for example, my mindset is I just need to land essentially 4 new website clients a month. That's 1 a week. As I'm prospecting, it seems like it's I don't know if Patrick, you found this when you were gaining your wealth, but it seems like money, the more you make, the easier it comes to make it. And like, you start crushing these milestones that you thought were really kind of out of the way. So I closed another $4,000 deal today to start the month off. So it's when I'm talking about this, to me, it's I don't really even pay attention to the residual stuff that's coming into the agency. Obviously that's included in that 25K, but I just want new money consistently because I know that I'm going to consistently be able to have products for these folks. They're more likely going to turn into lead gen clients, and we're just going to continue to grow this 25K to where, you know, I'm going to look at this time next year and be at 100,000 a month. Like for me now, it's mindset and just crushing these goals and figuring out how to do it.
For sure. It gets like normalized, right? Where it seemed like it was crazy. And I'll tell you, I want to prepare you for what's coming, because there's like these thresholds that you hit. So it's the hardest spot. And you guys that are on the other side of this, the hardest spot is getting to 10K, in my opinion. Like once you get to 10K, then you've done enough where it's like, now it's a question of scaling that. You've got like the core set of skills of being able to fulfill. Hopefully, if it's a steady 10K, if you just have one and then 6 months go by, like maybe you have some fulfillment issues. But if you've got that kind of like steady number locked in, then it's a question of scaling. And you got these kind of like thresholds. And our business has been a little bit broken for a while in the sense of like we have too much going on. And part of it is like the founder decided that he wanted to go start a software company, and you know that can put a burden on his attention towards the agency. And you have to, what got you to 10K is not the same thing that gets you to 25K. And what got you to like, so it kind of happens, I think around like 40K-ish, somewhere around, at least that's where it was for me. And I've seen that kind of with other people is you start to break things, and it's fine though. Like I've said, growth is not supposed to be like that. It's steps, right? So you're going to break the system, which is good because now you have a new boss to be at the end of the video game level to get to the next level, right? That's all it is. It's like, hey, I've got a different boss that I got to beat. And, you know, I think where a lot of people will run into issues is like, if you're great at sales, then you can keep on selling things until like, but you have to have the operation side dialed in, or like selling isn't going to like, that's going to be short-term sales for you. You're going to lose those clients, right? So we're super focused on our operations right now. And we've kind of put the pause. We're not trying to sell anything, but it keeps happening because like Spencer, like you just said, once you kind of got this, it's like people, you're almost like trying to hide from money sometimes, where it's like, I don't want any more clients right now. But then there's like this like inner salesman in me that like, I was like, so we were staying in our RV park, right? And I'm on my way to the restroom. Like if you've stayed in an RV, a lot of times you want to go to you don't want to use your own restroom. So I'm on my way to the restroom, and I essentially made a sale to a guy who owns a deck ceiling company. And I had to go to the bathroom. I was like trying to end the conversation, and I'm trying to get away from this dude. And like we were staying in this park where it was all French Canadian. So like no one was speaking English, which is weird because it is in the United States. And like I say hello to these people, and he said hello in English, which I was like, whoa, there's another American here. And then, you know, that led to this. And it's like, I wasn't trying to make this sale. And, you know, another people they signed up. So LeadSnap, there's like LeadSnap marketing, which sells mortgage leads to realtors. And I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. These guys signed up for a demo. They were realtors, and, you know, I'm qualifying them in the demo, and I'm like, you know, we don't sell. Are you looking for mortgage leads? Because that's not what we do. And we've had a number, and they're like, yeah, we are. Sorry. And I'm like, well, yeah, we don't serve you. Just trying to get off the call. I'm like, well, what do you do? I'm like, okay, well, like we have the marketing. Oh, well, we have a mold company here. We'd love for you to like do this. We'll pay the startup fee. So it's like, it becomes, when you're not trying to chase these people, that's part of it. Because like if you interacted with a good salesperson, you never have this feeling like the best salespeople don't make you feel like you're trying to be sold, right? It's just like common. They're just like telling a story, and they kind of like suck you in, and then you're engaged in it, and you're like, oh, okay, I need this, right? So that's a hard thing to turn off once you learn that skill. It's something that it's authentic, right? So if you're if you're believing in this and you're certain of the results, then people want that. They want to be a part of it, right? So you start to get a machine too, referrals. You're putting off this energy to the world, and everyone. It's not like this mythical thing, because people used to say that it's like, hey, you're like vibrating at this frequency. And I'm like, what does that mean? But it's like whenever you're having an interaction, there is like a way of being that you are that's causing this attraction, right? Where people believe in you, they trust in you. You've got like all this stuff, and the clients that you're serving, it's kind of like all becomes a snowball, right? So when you guys are on the other side of 10K and you're struggling, I want you to know you're not as far away as it seems. And Spencer, I think I told you that before, and I say it kind of like people have their own story in their head where it's like, well, that might be true for Spencer because he's whatever. Maybe he's more handsome than me, or he's got more energy, or he spends his Fridays in the forest and he's got this like special forest energy. That's not what it is, right? It's like you just have to kind of get in the groove, get a couple of these things. Some of you guys are one problem away from being able to blow this up, and you don't realize it, and it can be discouraging. There's that famous story where this guy was like digging, and he paid for all his equipment. It was like the California gold rush. He paid for all his equipment. He's like digging through, and he gives up. And then he sells the mine, and like the next guy comes in. They were 3 feet from gold, and this guy like blew this thing up, became this huge like billionaire off this gold thing. And he was 3 feet away, and he didn't realize it. That story always stuck with me. I see a lot of people that are, you guys are so close and you don't realize it. And you start getting a lot of progress here, and then there's like this shiny thing, and you get pulled over here, and then you get pulled over there, and it's like you just got to like put the blinders on. It's kind of be really stupid and focused on what we know works, right? Like if you can, like it can be boring, and maybe it's not sexy, right? But it like the result is the result looks really sexy when you get to travel around and you make a bunch of money and you don't really have to worry about finances so much, right? But it comes from just the repetitive execution of fundamentals, and not from like, I've got to like learn all these fancy things, right? Spencer, you basically, from my perspective, it looks like there was two things that really influenced you. One is you came up with a really rock solid prospecting method. And then two, you had a mindset shift where you went from like, you started to believe in yourself and your ability to do this. Do you agree with that assessment? I'm just looking from the outside.
Yeah. So that, and then well, honestly, you guys have heard me say the other key piece of this from that 10K mark to the 25K mark, Patrick, was getting a fulfillment team. You guys can't do this all. And if you're trying to do everything, you're trying to build sites, you're trying to do optimizing GMBs, like everything you can get off your plate onto a VA team to do the fulfillment so you can focus. Like I was just talking with a mutual friend, Louis Vandervalk. I think a lot of you guys know who Louis is. And I was saying, he's like, how are things going? I said, things are going great, man. I can't wait to the day when I can just sell. I can prospect, I can put together these audits, and I can just sell. And then like, because right now I'm still reviewing content that comes over from my content writer, because they're, English is a second language. And so when that is, I want to put a gun to my head when I have to do that, because it's so time consuming and it's so monotonous. It's not a part of the job I enjoy. So now I'm looking to outsource that, to pay somebody to basically $20 an hour to read content when my content writer sends it over. Everything I can get off my plate so I can focus 100%, like keeping my foot on the gas. Because what I'm doing right now is I'm driving a Ferrari and I'm doing 140, and then I have to let my foot totally off the gas and do like 20, and then 140 because I'm selling, and then fulfillment, because I'm still doing some aspects of the business that I don't feel comfortable quite yet with outsourcing, or I don't have a method quite yet. And so I know that I can make $5,000 a day consistently once I'm, can fully go forward all the way. So the fulfillment piece has been money, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, like I said, this is the area that originally allowed us to take off. We did really well with the fulfillment. And then we kind of got to the spot where we broke things. And now it's been like, I'm a big believer in, I got this from Taylor, but it just makes from Taylor Welsh and Traffic and Funnels. I'm a big believer in this like mindset of seasons. And you go through there, it's not like winter, fall, spring, whatever, it's like you have these seasons of your life that this is the theme for, and this is where your focus is, and this is what's going on. And I feel for the last, like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, I've been in this like massive season of growth where I've just been like studying and reading. And, you got like this is how it was for me, is this, the bamboo tree philosophy, where we had 2 years went by where I was trying to figure this out and I was getting distracted with the wrong thing. And I had gotten to $4,000 a month. But all that stuff that I had done was like underground growth. And then we went like 14 months later, we were at $40,000 a month, right? It wasn't that the 10, like, it wasn't just like that 14 months that all this stuff happened. It was all that time I'd spent like learning and growing. And, we've made a lot of mistakes, especially with the software, just because how to run a marketing company and how to like manage a software team doesn't mean that how to manage a software platform, right? Like, so we've been spending a lot of time learning, and we've hired some of the best coaches in the world. And right now it kind of feels like we have all these unrealized gains. And I think a lot of you guys have that too. And you may not even realize it. You may not have the confidence in yourself to realize the unrealized, to take notice of the unrealized gains that you have. You guys have learned, if you've gone through this and you've been on these calls and you've like got your foot in the water, you guys have a tremendous skill set. You may not realize how valuable this can be, not just for like building lead gens, but there's like a lot of business stuff that's going into this. You have the ability essentially to go and build your own business. That's not even a lead gen business. That's like, hey, I'm going to build this, like, I know that there's a guy in here that started like a fencing company. Another, who was it? I think it was Adam, has this like windshield company that he owns in St. Louis. So it's like, I think Jarrett Miller has some stuff that he's doing where he's done some arbitrage, and it's crazy. So just, I want you guys to think about that unrealized gains concept, and, just like hang in there, because we all go through these phases, this lack of confidence that you have when you're stuck and you're up against it and it's just not working. I was there too. Spencer was there. I had conversations with Spencer about it, and I've heard this time and time again. I think it's important when you're feeling that to narrow your focus and just like do the minimum that's necessary for you to be successful, right? So that means like, let's build our websites. Let's get content on there. Let's get our backlinks. Let's get our Google My Business, and let's get reviews and our citations and get that thing to rank. If you guys are just getting started, some of this stuff might seem like it's over your head. And for you guys, I think the course that we're putting together, because the first one we're going to roll out here into the software is going to be all about A to Z on how to like getting started, right? And then we're going to add on to this more and more. And if you guys stick with this stuff, I've seen this time and time again. Spencer, you're not the first one that has been like struggling with this stuff and then tuned in and stayed tuned in and then it blown up, right? And you're not going to be the last one. I hope that the other ones on here that want to have Spencer's success can, take this advice, narrow your focus, just focus on this stuff, solve the problems as they come. And like really is like getting your first sites. Like I advise you guys, get your first like 10 sites built and go run around the bases once, get a site that's ranking. You do all the different steps and then do another one. Right. And then you can start to scale, but you start to build out. Like imagine that you're like a home builder and you're going to build out like 50 houses and you've never rented one. You've never sold one before. Right? What if you build this out and you realize, hey, I built all these houses with no toilets. And now like, what are you going to go back and change all of them? So you want to get do a cycle, right? Get some stuff in place, get a win, right? Even if you can get, I'll tell you what, man, get a site rented for $250 a month. You know what that's going to do to your psyche? Like, you're like, holy cow, I have $3,000 a year coming in from something that I just created out of the thin air, right? So if you can get $3,000 a year coming in once, you can do that 20 times, and that's 60,000. For a lot of you guys, it's probably going to replace your salary. And I'll tell you, after you've done this a few times, you stop renting these things for $250 and you start renting them for $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Like, the numbers go up once you understand how this stuff works, right? So you guys, every week we get questions in the group about different pieces. And I want to remind you guys of the resource that Jeff created. Until we have the stuff built into the software, I think it would be good if the resource Jeff created, it's inside the, Jeff, what's it called? The features part of the Facebook group. Is that where it is? The index that has
announcements. Yeah, it's pinned to the top, but we have multiple announcements. So it kind of gets buried in the announcements, but just at the top of the feed, there's an announcement section, and then you kind of scroll through there. Sometimes it depends on when people comment on those announcements. It'll be, where that depends on where it is in the list. There's only 3, I think. So, and then we often tag new people in it, so then it should pop up in the feed again.
Yeah, you guys, I would really, if you guys want, I appreciate all the kind things that you guys have. A lot of you guys have reached out to thank me or Jeff, or in the comments in the group. A great way to thank us is to try to pay it forward and help these new people that are coming into the group, and encourage them, like, make them feel like they're really part of this community, because these new people coming into the group, I don't think they realize the value of the group, right? You see how many Facebook groups there are out there. It's easy. It's easy to get watered down. So let's let these people feel welcomed and understand that, for me, learning this skill set was, it's changed my whole life, right? Like, I went from working as a software engineer to, like, okay, now we have a software company. We've got the marketing company. My wife and I, we've been traveling all over the world. We bought the RV to travel all over the country. So, like, this is an amazing skill set in having a whole community like this behind it can change so much. Guys, we're going to get more tactical. I've been saying this for a little while. We're going to start to get a lot more organized on these calls and really have a plan. I have this kind of vision to even create like a calendar where we're going to know weeks in advance what the topics are going to be about. And you guys can subscribe to the calendar and find out what is going to be most relevant for you guys. But let me just share my screen real quick and show you this resource. For those of you guys that haven't seen it, I think it's especially you guys that are getting started. So if depending on what group you're in, I think it's, oops, hang on one second. All right. So yeah, it's in this featured area. Okay. And then there's this document here. And if you click on this, you can see we've kind of got some highlights on, different, there's the calls here. If you click on one of these calls, so let's just choose this April 7th here, you'll see that we have the tags of what happened on this call, right? So we're talking about wins, simplifying billing, specifying a niche. So all sorts of different topics have been, we've gone over. So if you're on a Mac, you can do Command F, or on a PC, you can do Control F, and then you can search for, like if I wanted to search for GMB, GMB, right? So you can see it's going to highlight, there's 119 times where we've covered GMB, right? And you can go through this. So I know I was talking to Jackson. I think Jackson just popped on the call now. But there's like our strategies on how we acquire GMBs, on how we rank GMBs, on how we deal with suspensions, on like all sorts of stuff. It's just like thoroughly covered in here. And to make it easier on you guys, what we're going to do is we are going to kind of pull this stuff out and make it sortable inside of the software and just build this really complex library. A lot of the stuff, like all the stuff that's here will be in there. All the stuff that there is obviously not going to be in here. We're building our own videos that are more, instructional and tactical. So if you guys don't have a subscription, like it's gonna, I think I think there's going to be more and more value that we're going to be adding from this software here. So a couple things I want to talk to you guys about today. So the white labeling service, I think we are going to have that out. It's either probably going to be Friday or Monday. I have not been able to break it, and we're releasing it in beta. So that means like we think it's going to work perfectly fine. We're not charging anything for you guys to use it, but kind of proceed at your own, just proceed with caution and let us know. We're going to let you guys use it at no charge to start with. And for that, we'd love to get some feedback. Things that you guys, if you guys find an issue, find a problem, or if you see a way we can improve it, we're all ears. The way this company works with the software side of it is it's very user driven. So when if you guys find an issue or a feature, we pay attention to that stuff. We're starting to build like a catalog of the feature requests. And what we're going to do in the near future is have a voting system where you guys can vote on what you think is most valuable for the system. And then we can use that to decide how our development is driven towards that and kind of take your guys' opinions into account. Because the goal here is to just like when you guys with your clients, hopefully your idea is to give them as much value as possible. That's what I'm trying to do here with you guys. So for those of you guys that are using lead generated, I know there was a difference in the software where CallRail was not an option. CallRail is now an integration inside of lead generated. So you can, you should be able to connect your CallRail account. I'm building out the documentation on that. Additionally, we have the Google My Business permissions and the phone system permissions that we're about to release. So we have all these different permissions that you can set through the user roles, but now you'll be able to set very granular Google My Business permissions. Say like, hey, I want this user to be able to view the GMB, but not edit it. I want them to be able to schedule posts, but I don't want them to be able to see the photos. Whatever you want to do, there's all these different pieces. The same with the phone system. You can decide if they can see calls, if they can see text, what numbers they can see. So it's giving you a ton of control. The same with the automations and pipelines. You can get more and more granular on these pieces. So I'm looking to release all this stuff in the next few days. So it's kind of like big batches of work get done, and then we release it into the software. So this is going to be, the next 7 days, I think, is going to be a really big, a bunch of updates that are going to be hitting the system. I'm also excited to, we're going to be making some changes with a few of the main components inside of the platform, the way things are handled, but it's going to give you guys a lot more flexibility. So for instance, you'll have the ability to make like properties for companies and clients and all these different things. And, you can have automations that will depend on these different parts and pieces. So it's going to give you guys a lot more flexibility and control on this. I want to show you another part that we have coming. I think the user interface that we are, we're always trying to find ways to improve this user interface, right? So here's a little preview of something this one's probably a couple weeks out. Another one that's coming is the reporting functionality. So we're going to be moving the calls. I think there's a lot of confusion on the all calls section where like the way it was designed with the calls is that the calls section would kind of be this quarantine area. And then you could decide what you moved over into the all leads. And it's just, I've seen the way people have used the accounts and the systems, and I've seen the questions that they've asked. So we're going to be basically switching it to this. So this is going to be the new user interface for the software here, guys. So all the leads, whether they're phone calls or form submissions, will automatically go into this all leads area, right? And then ones that are of type form will go into this area. Ones that are phone calls will go into this area. And instead of adding something as a lead, which is what we had previously done, we're going to put this action here that says qualified, right? And if you click on qualified, then it will go here. So there's no, we're going to have automations that will allow you to automatically qualify things, but I think this will clear up a lot of the confusion that we've had with the system. So we've gone through, you guys can see that we've kind of like been working on this user interface based on a lot of the questions. The filters, we'll have some filters right here. and we'll be moving the advanced filters over into here where you can say, hey, I want to add in, this filter, and you can stack them up on the side over here. And then you can make as many of these views as you want. So if you want to create a new view, you can do that, and you can decide what views are for you, what views are for your clients. And then you could come over here and you could load up these different views, right? And say, hey, I want to load this view. And so you can essentially make as many different views as you want. So these are almost like saved filters, but I think it's going to be a little bit cleaner and easier for you guys to understand. I know that some of you guys have struggled with this user interface, and we're on this constant journey to improve it. I would love to hear your guys' feedback in the chat. If this seems like a good change for you guys. We're trying to make this easier to understand and make it work better and better. Another piece that we are working towards is adding in like sequences and pathways. So if you're trying to, let's say you sign up for like, hey, I'm really focused on the heat map. So we have a survey when you sign up, and we're going to be sending out, surveys, every few months to you guys. That feedback will allow us to kind of customize the support you need. So Jeff is kind of managing the client success on the software side of things. And, based on the results we get back, we want to make sure that we're providing you with the exact information. So if you're like, hey, I'm interested in the heat map, then we're going to be like putting you into a sequence that's going to send you out emails and like, hey, here's the calls that you should watch that are related to prospecting for the heat map, or like improving your heat map ranking, or, all these different parts and pieces. So again, I'd love to hear what you guys think of that. If that sounds like something that would be beneficial. We're having a lot of conversations on how we can improve this for you guys, because ultimately this software, no matter how cool it is, it's not valuable unless it helps you guys move forward in your business. And it can be really complicated to detect where you guys are. And then how do we adjust to help you guys move forward? So we're trying to use these different tactics here to make this as valuable as possible to you guys, right? So does anybody have any questions? I know that was quite a spiel there. Any questions on any of this stuff? I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. That looks sweet. I was waiting for the call rail to come in, which is awesome. Not that big a deal, but definitely like to have everything in one spot.
We got the phone system, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm in a position where I got to process down super easy, and I just don't want to add any more pieces.
Yeah,
So
do what makes the most sense, man. No pressure.
I'm just trying to get to 50K right now, and then from there, make different processes from there, but just got something that's working. So, all my stuff is on drag and drop sites. I have no desire to go to WordPress, even though I know it saved me money, but I know just even thinking about that, it makes my head hurt. So I'm just focused on this one goal, got something that's working. I'm just going to keep it simple.
Do that, man. I 100% support that. Like if you've got a process that's working, don't rock the boat.
Yeah. So yeah, in the future, I definitely want to switch, because I just did the reviews with the text message, and wow, it's just, you get so many more reviews with the text. So just doing the text first, and then if they don't do anything, send an email. But I'm getting a lot of reviews for my client. We just started this week, so I like that. So I bought a phone number for the reviews for that. Works great.
You get one number for free with the CRM.
Maybe I got it for free. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no clue about this.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You said you got a question?
Yeah, a question on the forms. Yeah, so I'm using like the drag and drops, like Weebly, right? And there's an issue with Google Ads. I'm not running Google Ads. I just is there a plan to ever fix that issue in the future, or just
100%? Yeah, it's definitely one of the top priority things that we have. I've actually unsuccessfully spent quite a bit of money trying to hire specialists to fix it. Yeah. But then I just realized, I found another piece of software that doesn't have this problem that's pretty well known. And so we're kind of reverse engineering what they did. I think we're going to have this solved here pretty soon. What long term this is, like I'm unwilling for this to be a long-term problem. Like I was just like hammer on this until we figure it out. I know it's 100% possible. So, and I've got about 7 ideas on how we can get through it. It's just a question of like, we're building the reporting thing, and like, where do we add the developer hours towards, with a lot of people running this kind of rank and rent model that are in this group. It's been it hasn't been the highest priority, but it is still a high priority for sure.
And then, is everything, I don't know if I'm getting all the notifications. I don't know if I'm missing something. Like GMB suspension notifications, reviews coming in. I'm not getting those notifications. Then I try to make some posts, I don't know, like a month ago, and I haven't tried since, and they weren't going through. So I just want to know if everything's, working up to speed, or is there some kinks right now?
Yep. So with the posts, we had a number of issues. I think they're resolved. Okay. A lot of them were dealing with like image sizes. And so it was hard for us to diagnose it because not everyone was having the issue, and we would test it and it would work. So what, I believe the posting thing is resolved. Fairly confident on that. As far as the notifications, I'm going to log in right now and I'm going to share my screen, and I'll show you to make sure that you've got things kind of like dialed in and set up correctly.
Yeah, I haven't like looked at it now. I just know the posts weren't working, and then I'll go and test everything, out after this. But
yeah,
run through it.
I'll just give you a quick overrun on how to do this. You can see my screen right now, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a few different spots where you guys can set up notification stuff. So one of them, if you click in the top right and you click on settings, this will take you right to the notifications area here. I don't know why this texting, disregard this texting. I've asked them to remove it. I think it was removed and then got put back in. I don't think this text part of it is working yet. This is working, the in-app and the email stuff. So from here, you can see across the top, we have companies. So this is if you want to set something that's company level. We had to do it this way because you want to be able to set like company level notifications as well as like Google My Business or user level notifications. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. So this is where you can set like if a lead arrives, if your client completes a questionnaire for a new phone call, a new text message, or if there is feedback on the reputation management. Okay. So you can set this up on a company level here, right? So I just check this checkbox. In app means that it's going to happen up here, right? And then email, email is obviously an email. And this is for like, I'm logged in as this John Smith. So whatever email address I have registered for John Smith, that's where this is going. It knows who's doing this, and it's going to send this notification to the email of the person that is doing it. Okay, so let's look at GMB. So there's 2 spots where you can set up GMB notifications. One is up here, and another one is in the actual Google My Business section over here on the left side, right? And you can kind of see, again, disregard this. This is where you can set up the GMB status change. So if your GMB goes from suspended to live, or live to suspended, or pending, or whatever the change is, you can get that notification through here, right? If you get a new review for your Google My Business, you can get that notification through here. Suggestions, this is one you guys should all have checked, or at least have somebody on your team monitoring. You should really probably have them monitoring all these things for your GMBs. So the suggestions go like this, because if you guys get into a competitive market that you really start to take over, and you have like if your competition within that market is like has some like tech savvy and they also lack integrity, a lot of times they will mark your Google My Business as closed. And it's possible that if you don't respond, that Google will take that. I don't understand when they decide to keep that and when they don't, because it's like we've had them mark closed and then we're like, hey, it was actually marked closed. And other times we'll get the suggestion that it's marked closed, but Google won't take their word for it. So I don't know how they're deciding that, but it's something that you want to pay attention to. And then the questions, you guys can get a message when somebody asks a question. And I would encourage you, as a part of the Google My Business ranking process, well, let me rephrase that. It would be wise if people asked questions to your Google My Business that mentioned your city and keywords. And I've heard of people having success with having people post those questions for them, because you're building relevance between the Google My Business and that keyword in the location. So the example would be like, hey, do you guys do roofing on, do you guys do residential roofing in Dallas, Texas? And then you respond like, yes, we've done a lot of residential roofing around the Dallas, Texas area. We've served Fort Worth, McKinney, Plano. So you're kind of like building that relevance between the cities that you want to rank for and the keywords residential roofing. You can kind of phrase that and get those in there. So that's an important tactic to improve your Google My Business ranking, right? So this is where you can set the GMB notifications. And then for user notifications, so you can set this here if you want to get notified when a new questionnaire is submitted or a new email is submitted right here. Okay, so I thought we had some more of these. And then again, you can set up your notifications as well over here within the GMB locations. If I log in here, just give it 1 second. So there we go. All right, so you can see our precious bear removal GMB was suspended. We haven't really fought to try to get it back, but over here on the right side, we have the notifications here where I can set this for this here, and I could switch to other GMBs right here. So these are going to be your companies here, just because we thought this would be easier. So if I had like more than one GMB for bear removal, then it would show me a list here and I could flip between them there. And then, what Patrick was alluding to here is where we can make the post. This is another important strategy that you guys should be implementing to try to rank your Google My Business is make these posts. This is an opportunity for you guys to have kind of a blank canvas on what we want to be talking about, right? So let's say, hey, I want to rank in Dallas for roofing, right? So let's say like Plano is just north of Dallas, and I've got this roofing site in Dallas that covers like the entire Dallas area. So we could say something like this. Right now, we are offering a 10% discount for residential roofing in the Plano area, right? So I could schedule this post. I can add a button to it to call now, right? And I can add a photo right here, and I can schedule this post. Maybe I want to schedule this post. These posts will last about a week. So I could schedule this post for, next Wednesday. And maybe I want this post to happen once a week. So it's going to be like every week. Okay. And then this is pretty cool. If you guys haven't, the way this works, you see this is the summary over here. So I can't touch this. I can't edit this. And this is where we type. So the reason we have this is because we have what's called spin tags. So the format for spin tags looks like this. I can put this curly bracket here, and then I can put another one over here. And so now I can put these like pipe characters in between. I'll show you guys how this works. It's pretty cool. So I could say like, right now we've got Plano, but we'll add in Fort Worth, and we'll add in, I think McKinney is another one that's over there. Isn't it weird how you like, you start to know all these like suburbs of every city around the whole country when you do Legion for a while? All right. So you can see right now, it says McKinney over here on the right. And when I regenerate the spin tags, now it says Fort Worth. So you could essentially do this a bunch of times inside of this post, and that will allow you to, you can make this unique, right? You can keep like running this again and again. So what if I made this, I would make this post a lot longer than this. Maybe, make it, I can't remember what the advice is. Maybe it's like 200 words or something. So maybe I've got like 10 of these in there. And every time I regenerate this, I've got a new one, right? So I can essentially have this a fresh post going and recurring, every week, right? And I could schedule this out for months, and I could do this in just a few minutes. One of the updates we're working on is the ability to bulk upload a bunch of posts here, and you guys we'll have a template that you can download, and then you could basically upload this and schedule out posts for months and months, right? And just have this thing kind of run automated. Like, we know that Google loves their stuff. So if you're taking advantage of this, and you're like, it will show up in the Google My Business area. It's more real estate, it's more attractive, you're more active, you've got more relevance. There's no reason not to be taking advantage of this stuff. I know that some of you guys are struggling to get your Google My Business API. Hopefully you guys have seen the effort that we've put forth to try to get these for you. One of the pieces that we have in motion right now is I just bought like 50 domains last night, and I think we had bought 30 a few weeks ago. So we're basically getting a ton of Google My Business API. So for those of you guys that haven't been able to get one, hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to just like allocate them to you. And then it'll just kind of like be assigned to your accounts. So when you sign up, or if you're struggling with it, when you're using our software, you'll have your own API. So that's kind of what we're working towards, is to try to get that in place. All right, cool. Who's got questions? What do you guys think of that? Is that new information? Patrick, were you aware of that stuff?
Yeah. No, that's good. I had one other one with the reviews on like bulk uploading content contacts as well.
Okay, yeah, let me show you that process here.
Hey, Patrick, real quick, there is another question about scheduling posts. Do you have to schedule them on the same day all the time, or can you randomize it?
I love that random idea. We don't have that functionality yet. I'm going to put that in there because I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super simple for us to like add that functionality in there.
Yeah,
so we'll do that. You say you have another question?
No, I was just thinking Thomas asked that question. So thanks for asking. Some of that stuff, it's like Patrick says, it's easy to do. We just hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, I have a question, Patrick, as you're searching for that. My question is, do you guys have a plan to have the in-app notifications pop up live without interruption? So as I'm sitting there, I work with LeadSnap open all day long. And I've noticed if I'm within the site itself, I have to do a refresh in order to see what notifications are coming in as far as leads or whatever the case is. Is there any
yeah, there is. We're gonna do it so that and we're gonna have an audio notification if you allow it, where when that comes in, you can kind of get that ding, similar to Facebook, right? And get notified in real time. And so, we've got. I want these questions to keep flowing nonstop. So don't. Just because I say, yeah, we already have that, we just saw that. I hadn't thought of the randomizing the posts, but a lot of this stuff we've already kind of got on our roadmap, and that's one of them, Spencer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that out. It's the same on our team, right? We're the first clients of this. So I've wanted that same feature myself for our agency and for my team, right? So absolutely, that's coming. All right. Jeff, we got any more questions, or am I good to?
I think that's it. We have a few people kind of asking if we can do a best practices, like how to get the most out of the software. I think that would be maybe a good series going forward. It's just to start module by module and just have you walk through, set it up, give you all your insight about why the features are there, where they are, and why, and all of that, and just give everybody like a really good rundown of best practices of getting this thing set up and running in their agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. We can build out that series as well. And you guys have the option within the software. For those of you guys that have a subscription, I'll show this to you. We're not charging for this right now. But if you go up here into the top where this question mark is, and then go to video training, there's videos that will take you through different parts of the software, right? And so that's a good starting spot, as well as you've got this onboarding call option here where you can book a call and we'll walk through this. It'll be a small group. We'll walk through this and I'll help you set up the different features. In the near future, I'm not going to be doing this forever, right? But I'm doing this now because I want to make sure that I'm in tune with the struggles that people have in our current system. I think that's really important for the person that's driving the ship to understand how it's like, where are people struggling? Where are we falling off at? Right. So it's like, I really like having these calls right now, but you guys can book those and I'll help you dial this stuff in. Right. I think once you kind of like get on one of those calls and we go through this stuff, you'll understand there's like very specific reasons why it was set up a certain way. And once you kind of understand those, then like it will be easy for you to kind of build onto it. Okay, so the question that you asked Patrick about contacts. So here's what you can do is if you go over to the contacts area here where you can import all these, and Spencer, I know this was something that you were requesting a while ago. So you can download this template here and then you can import it here. So you download this template and you fill it out. So it will have like the different things that we need to import those contacts. Once you have that filled out, you save it and you click on import. So one of the features that we added that you guys may not have seen is this bulk action here. So if I go to, hold on one second. Let's take a look at automations real quick. So these automations, I'm just going to make a new one. I want to make a new automation because I don't know where these contacts came from. All right. So I am going to, this automation, all it's going to do just for this test, because I'm going to send some people to it, is it's going to wait one day. And then I'm not going to do anything with it. This is just test. This will make sense why I'm doing this here in a second. Okay. So I've got this automation called test, right? So now if I go over to my contacts here, and I'm just going to refresh this to make sure that's there. So I'm going to highlight. So let's pretend that I've just imported a ton of different people. One of the options that you guys have is you can tag these people. So when you download this template, you can tag them. So maybe I want to tag them as like import number 27. So they all say like import 27. So that way, when they start to show up here, they'll all have that tag. And then I could go through and I could say, show me this like import 27. I don't know what we have here. So we'll say that it's this is the one, right? So I tag them all with this and I do a search. So only the ones that are on that import are going to show up. So that's kind of like will allow you to segment off and what is happening here? That'll allow you to segment off the people that you just imported. And then I can do this and I can say, okay, these are all the people that I just imported here. So I've got them all selected, and then I'm going to add them to an automation, right? So I can click on add to automation and apply. So now it's going to take me over to this screen where I can decide which one I want. So I made this test one. So these I don't know, like these are supposed to all be dummy numbers, but the reason I wanted to wait, because I'm going to add them to this automation. So you can see if I click on add to automation, now I have the option if I want to start them all now. So imagine I just imported like 500 contacts and maybe I haven't had a review for this site in like a year. So I don't want to send out these text messages to 500 different people all at once, because that's not going to look natural to Google. So what I want to do is I want to add them over time, right? So I'm going to say, what I want to do is I'm going to send this out to 20 per day, or I could say, maybe I want to send it out to 100 per week, right? So it's going to add them to the automation at the pace that I set in here, right? So when I click on add to automation, now these people are going to get dripped into that. Well, like they're all going to get added now because I only had like 5 of them and I'm saying 100 per week, but that's how that works. So that kind of gives you that control to bring them all in, tag them, and then add them into an automation and kind of drip them. Patrick, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, to just drip, because this week I just been like, I'm on a computer all day, like 9 through 5 right now anyway. So then I just like add one contact, and it's like, I don't want to do that, you know? So that's what I was looking for. And then too, yeah. So you can, cause you don't want to send text messages at midnight, right? You can set you can set it to it's like 9 to 5. I know how to do that. But yeah.
Okay. So just so everyone else, we wanted to edit an existing one. I have issues with my texting in this account right now. I canceled my text messaging. I was actually charging myself for this, and Stripe was winning because they were just taking the fee and the money was going back to me. So anyways, we've got a texting issue here, which may be why this thing is spinning. But there is a spot in here where you can go and say, at the bottom of like the text message, it will tell you that, hey, when do you want to send this? So just make sure that you set it during like business hours for texting. Otherwise, you could be sending things out like Patrick said at 2 a.m. So and it's really easy once I don't know what we have going on here with this, but once that window is open, then I think it'll be pretty self-explanatory. All right, cool. Spencer, had you seen that feature? Were you aware of that? I know that was something you were struggling with like a couple months ago.
No, I actually hadn't seen that. So thanks for showing that. Yeah, I need to actually go back in and probably set some of that up so it kind of I can use that drip feature.
Cool. All right. We got any more questions? Are you guys liking these features? Do you guys like this kind of more like tactical talk?
Yeah, Patrick, that's kind of what I was suggesting, like once a month, because I know, you already do 2 lives and another one just for like technical stuff. I know it can be kind of demanding, but just in these 5 minutes, I learned a whole new section. Like, I think I know I am leaving money on the table of what the software can do. So
yeah,
it'd be super cool.
I encourage you guys to be active in these calls, and ask these questions, even if you think it's a stupid question. Get your money out of the software. It helps us kind of like deliver better value. It can be hard for us to keep a pulse on where you guys are with things. We're doing our best to try to figure that out. I've had this talk with my team a few times. I've got young people on my team, and I view them not as like employees or VAs. I view these people as like, I've got the opportunity to coach these people and mentor them and have a positive impact on them. And one of the things that I'm big on pushing is to get the answer that you need. A lot of times you ask a question and you think you should have understood it or whatever, and you don't get the answer that you need. So you just like, okay, I asked once or twice and I didn't get it. And like, I think as we get older, we stop caring what people think. And like, I will just like, when I get stuck on something, I don't care. I will annoy the shit out of someone until I get the answer that I need. I'm like, I'm going to find out what I need to know and I'm going to understand it. And this was annoying for teachers in school too, where like, I'm here for a reason. And I want you guys to feel comfortable. Just keep asking questions of us and our team. I've tried to build the same culture that we're building in this group within my team, where to really serve and to try to help people. And I want you guys to feel comfortable to ask these questions, and it helps us kind of build a better product and platform for you guys too. So Alfredo, anytime you have questions on this call, and all of you guys, just let us hear it. And give us your feedback. We do pay attention to it, and we use it. And like Jeff and I, we debrief after every call and try to talk about like, how did the call go? What could we have done better? So what do you love? What do we tweak? What do we love about the group? These are some of the questions we go through after every single call, right? So we're paying very close attention to this stuff, and we really could use your guys' feedback on making this better. So yeah, I'll definitely carve off some more time for the tactical stuff too. Greg Adams, you got a question? Sarah Bailey. Sarah, you had it first. Sorry, Greg. Ladies first. I don't know where she is. There she is. How you doing?
Jeff, I've been messaging Jeff. So Jeff, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if I should ask this now. He knows what.
It's up to you if you want to ask questions.
Yeah.
Questions right now.
Okay. Well, this is on a different topic, Patrick. So if it's not right to do this now, maybe we could talk a little bit later. But it's about negotiating a deal with a client.
No, I mean that seems pretty topical. Like I know that we were just talking about the CRM stuff, but I mean this is also like coaching for negotiations, closing, prospecting. So you're struggling with negotiating a deal.
Well, yeah. Well, it started out as it's two companies merged together. They're exterior home remodeling, and one guy is just launching his business, but he's been in the industry for a long time. He's most recently managed 600 sales reps and what he was doing before. So his closing ratio is like 70%. He merged with this other company. They do smaller deals, like a window here, a window there. And the whole reason it came up was just lifestyle prospecting. They came to my house. One of their people had, come around, hey, we're doing gutter cleaning around the block. Are you open to gutter cleaning? And I rent, which means I know that I'd have, that doesn't matter. The landlord would do it, but I said yes, to see what kind of work they do, to see if I might want to even think about partnering with them. And then as we were talking, there was a window right by the front door that I have that is broken, that Dave Stowers sat on a table we just put together, side note, and you sat on it and went right through the window. So anyway, so I'm like, do you guys do windows? And they said yes. And so 2 days later, the new owner came to my house to give me an estimate. And as he was in my office, he saw all the computer screens from Dave and me. Like, he's like, what in the world do you do? So I told him briefly. He's like, we need help with lead gen. We need more leads. And so I set up a Eugene review type interview for them and went in. And then as soon as I sat down to start that, I brought my camera with me and, the other owner, Ben, said, wait a minute, I need to ask you some questions. So then it switched to an interview to interview me. And I wasn't really prepared for that. And Ben is really good. It's pretty good with lead gen and or tech. Anyway, my question is, we talked about doing a revenue share. And that's something that Scott, the other owner, had offered when he was at my house. Like he said, normally 8 to 10% revenue share. I said, what's your average client value? And he said 12,500. And I thought, that's pretty good. So what Gabriel had suggested to me before I went into that meeting, because I do one-on-one coaching with Gabriel, was offer 7% instead of 8 to 10 and ask for 5,000 up front to build up, get all the assets in place and, do all the stuff that you're going to set up, redesign the website and start going with that. So when I went in and talked to them, they said, well, we can't do the 5, we're not going to do 5,000. And looking back, I didn't set it up right at all, with providing the value up front so that 5K would sound like nothing. If they can close, as many deals as they say they can, then 5,000 shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. The problem is though that you're kind of an unknown person to them.
I really am. Yep.
So asking for 5,000, imagine a stranger comes in and asks you for $5,000 with the promise of hey, I can do X, Y, and Z. That's tough for them to get over. If they believed in you and they knew you and trusted you and you had already produced for them.
Yeah, I haven't proved myself.
A whole different thing. Yeah.
And I had also, I was transparent with last thing I'll tell you is last thing I was probably more upfront than I needed to be, but I just wanted to put it out there. I'm like, look, I know tech, I got the skills to do this. I'm jumping back in the game now. My business partner died. He had 20 years of tech in him. And so they know that my tech stronghold is no longer with us. And so since I don't have a lot of experience in that space, they're like, you know what, it's super competitive in this space. And, but I know that the other guy, Ben, was like, we've talked to people who will do the Google ads and Facebook ads, and they'll do all this lead gen. But what they wanted was like an exorbitant price. Like their cost was like way off the charts. So he's weighing how much time do we give Sarah to ramp up versus paying a lot of money to this other company. So the way, and Ben, the other owner, is like, I had said enough things about different skills I have and content writing and other experiences I have, like insight and like to other things, that they were like, there's a lot of stuff she can do, you know? So they were happy about that. And Ben said, "What? I want to hire you." And I said, "No," because I want to be my own boss. I don't want to be hired. And then Gabriel's suggestion was, you know what, find out what they would hire you for. Offer to take half of it for the first 3 months and revenue share. So I'm going to be meeting with them tomorrow. And
yeah, you're in kind of a, I would be careful, you know, in a few different things that you have said here. I've got some concern for. First of all, with the revenue share, you know, that's something that I tried that I got burned a few times on, and I would make sure that you get some stuff in place. That would be, I don't do contracts usually, but maybe Jeff can speak to this a little bit. Jeff is an attorney, but maybe he can offer non-legal advice on what would you do to ensure that you're actually getting paid? Is there some contracts that we could put in place that they could sign that maybe would make them less likely to not deliver on?
Right. How do I get verification that they're giving me honest information? Right.
Yeah, I think part of it is you're going to know, like if their close rate is 70% and you send them 20 leads and they said they
wait, let me back up. Hold on. It was 70% for Scott, the owner, but as a collective with their sales reps now, they're at 38%.
Yeah, and honestly, I think everyone
and maybe you made it up. I don't know. So
yeah, that's what I think is I've never talked to a contractor whose close rate is below like 60 or 70%, but I've never had one in our stable who closes like more than like 50%. So it's like everyone is, you know, maybe thinks more of themselves, and unless they're really tracking their numbers, then they probably don't know what it is and they're kind of guessing. But that being said, Jeff, can you give us like 30 seconds of wisdom on any like non-legal advice?
Definitely non-legal advice is just, you have to be careful about who you do business with, and you can put all the contracts that you want in place. It's going to be very difficult to come to a level where it makes sense to even pursue any kind of a claim. Like, let's say they owe you $100,000 and it's going to cost you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in legal fees just to pursue that and maybe get something. Are you going to take that bet? Throw good money after bad when it's already said and done?
Right.
Probably not. What if they owe you $500,000? Like, what's that look like? So you can write anything down that you want, unless they're willing to do some kind of open book deal. I think at the end of the day, you just don't do business with people you don't trust, you know, and that's really hard because there's very few people in business that you can trust, you know, so you have to look for those people and figure it out. And if these aren't people that you can trust to do an open book deal or a rev share with, then you got to find another deal structure, you know, that makes more sense. And frankly, that's why we do lead gen and we just get paid by the month. So then we don't have to worry about any of that, because if you're just running around worrying about whether you're going to get paid, you know, or if your business partner in this case is not paying you what you do, if you put that energy towards just building a lead gen where somebody is paying you by the month, you might make more money, right?
That's why I put out, or Gabriel and I were talking about, like, if they were to hire me. So I've already put that question out to them. If you guys were going to hire, if you were to hire me, what would that look like? Because when I get that information back, I can take that and say, all right, so if you're going to pay, let's say 40 grand a year, I don't know. If I take half of that as like a monthly, so that they are paying me something monthly at least, right? And then rev share on top of that.
Yeah.
So if they're,
It makes sense to you.
I
I
could try it.
I don't know how much work would be involved. I don't know anything about the deal other than the 5 minutes you've been talking about it. every deal is different. I
Yeah.
would go to my comfort level.
Well,
What are
they
you
also
gonna?
want, I'm not going to do Google ads, and I already told them I'm not going to do Google ads and Facebook ads. I just don't want to. It's been a while since I've done that, and I don't want to do that. But if they also want social media management, and they talked about reputation management. So for those two, like I'm not going to put my money up front for that. I'm going to charge them for that at least.
Sarah, you need to think about a few different things here. One is, what does your business like? Just wipe this table clean with this idea and everything. Start at the end. What do you want your business? What do you want your life to look like? How does your business support your life? Does this align with that business? And if not, then don't do it. Don't get like, maybe you need to, like, I don't know your financial situation. I know that, I think you said a few calls ago that you basically had to start from scratch again. So maybe this, you can get lured into this, like getting
Well, I'm not like, I'm okay. Like, okay, as far as like, I'm starting over with like my own business. Like I'm just wiping clean slate. I'm at zero. So consider me at zero right now, Patrick. Okay. But like, as far as my own like finances, I'm not desperate for money.
Yeah, then that makes this less attractive. You gotta
Don't
like,
take a bad deal.
yeah,
What?
I'm not,
Don't take a bad deal,
yeah, I'm
Well,
not.
that's why I'm
getting-
here talking to you guys, like, because rev share, I mean, it could be something super profitable, but like, I don't know that I like these guys.
It sounds to me like they're
I feel like
already
I could
discounting
trust them, but I
you
don't know
and
them
your
yet.
value, so it's like if that's the way it starts, then it's probably not going to end much better.
Sarah, where do you want to be? Let's get real here.
As far as income,
No, how do you
Oh,
want
type
your
of-
business to look?
well, that's kind of a money question too, right?
No,
So,
what I'm saying, like, what do you want? Do you want a business where you're your own boss and you don't have to answer these questions and you're like turning this in? Do you want to travel? Do you want to like?
Oh
be-
yeah. Well,
Yeah, like-
that's hard to answer because Dave was in all my plans.
Yeah,
So,
like,
but I like to
I-
travel. I do like to travel. I want to be my own boss. I want to build a team. I don't know that I want a team that's going to be so big that I'm in an office every day, because I like really working from home.
Yeah,
So I do want some kind of a team though.
Right. I've got 25 people on my team and they're all remote. So I don't know that, like, they're just because you have a larger team doesn't mean that you have to have like this centralized office location. I think you've answered your own question. I think you know this. I think you know the answer to this. Like if I said like 3, 2, 1, do you want to work for this company or not? What's in your gut? Yes or no?
I want to partner with them, not as an employee though.
Not as an employee. You don't want to be hired. So
No.
like,
Well, the reason that I would put the hiring question out there was so I could get the number from them, so I could use that as leverage to negotiate a deal.
yeah, that makes sense. But just be clear on the fact that you're not going to work for them. And like, I would also, like they say, like you said probably like 5 or 6 minutes ago that how long are we going to get Sarah time to ramp up? And if they're paying you percentage and they're not paying you a monthly, then like, what do they care how long it takes you to ramp up? Because they're not paying you anything until you bring them business.
Well,
right.
Other than that, they want leads coming in so they have more clients.
Yeah, but
But
hey,
there's
we're-
nothing
we're-
that says they're not hiring anybody else to like do what I'm doing.
I think it's important to have like a heavy hand in some of these talks. And I know from having like past conversations that you're very sweet and you're very compassionate and you're thinking about other people. And that is very beneficial, but it also can, it can make it harder for you to just be like, hey, this is how it is. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm in that conversation, and I had this conversation about 2 days ago with this, the story I was telling earlier with the guys from that signed up for LeadSnap and they got this like mold company or whatever. They're like, how long until we get results? And like, I can't guarantee you how long it's going to take for you to get results. But once we have this, we have things that have been glued to the top of Google for years and years, and it is a revenue machine for the people that have this. If you have not had that in your past, you don't know what you're missing, and it's going to redefine your business when you do have this. So is that worth waiting? Like, if you can kind of deliver that message, that kind of is a conversation stopper where you, like, I say it like, you know, I say it with a lot of confidence and a lot of certainty, and you know, I position myself really well throughout the conversation. And I think that, you know, I think sometimes we get into these situations that, because of how we've like framed things, that we're in this situation. And the problem isn't with like, what do we do when we get in this spot? It's like, we shouldn't have been in the spot. Right. So
yeah, I mean,
does that make sense?
Flipped on me right when I got there. Like, it was not, I thought it was going to go one way, and then it didn't. And so I felt a little bit behind the 8 ball. Yeah,
I get it. Let's learn from it. That's a rep. That counts, right? And when you guys, I would advise you, Sarah, and everybody else, like, record yourself when you have the opportunity. If you're meeting in person, then like maybe you can't do that, right? But if you're doing Zoom calls, then record it, play it back, look at your, like, when you're the one speaking, you can, like, you're thinking about, you're thinking about so many different things, but when you go back and you watch, and you can just focus on your way of being, now you have this like feedback that wasn't there, and you can kind of alter this. So like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like some of the great comedians like Steve Martin, Jerry Seinfeld. These guys would record themselves and watch it over and over again until they had mastered their craft. And you guys need to do the same thing with this, because how you're showing up, how you think you are showing up, is probably not how you're showing up. And when you rewatch yourself, you can get so much information, and you could actually have somebody that you trust, that can be honest with you, and not just going to be like, tell you what you want to hear. What do you think of this? And then tweak that, and tweak it again, and tweak it again until you get it right. Because you need to not be in this situation where they're kind of like driving this and pushing it. Like we are the people. Like, I look at them as the commodity, not me. Like, we're the ones that have
right,
the skill.
you can partner with anybody, right? Like, there's, and once you,
if I own the site, you're the part that's replaceable, not me. Like, who else? Like, is there other people around town that have the top 7 spots on Google on the first page? Or is there one person that does? Are there other people that are installing Windows? Yes, there's 100 of them. So when you kind of come with, I don't say that to them. Like, I've never said, because they're just going to think you're a jerk, right? But like, if that's something that is in my head, and it comes through when we're having that conversation, right? It's like, I'm not bending over for them. Like, if someone asked me to hire me, I'm like, probably the same for Spencer at this point. Spencer, would you be willing to have a company hire you as an employee?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So like,
I'll never be an employee ever in my life.
I want you to be clear that I was not ever going to say yes to being hired.
Okay. Okay. That's cool.
So I'm sorry if I sent you that signal. It wasn't. It was more of like a tactic.
Is a tactic to understand how you could leverage it from a lead gen perspective.
Yeah. Because as soon as he asked me that, like in that meeting, he's like, "Oh, I want to hire you," and I said, "No, like, I'm not hireable. No."
Right.
And I said,
like, yeah, you can just, like, I'm the CEO of this company. I'm like, we run this company. There's like, I don't have time. This is just like, maybe like 15 years ago, but now we kind of like, when you get to this skill set, it just doesn't make sense to be in a part of somebody else's team like this. What we do is we would love to build something that's going to be really valuable to you. And through that, we'll have a partnership. Right. So hopefully, Sarah, sorry, I didn't mean to, I understand your positioning. So, but I just want to make sure I drive that point home. So we're over time here. And I know that Greg had a question too. So Sarah, did you get some value from this?
Yeah, I think it comes down to posture too. And I used to do prospecting and network marketing, and I hated it at first, and I got good at it and created a course on it. So I'm comfortable building rapport, talking to people, but they really blindsided me a little bit on this one. So, and this is a newer space for me. So,
yeah. I would replay that scenario again and again, and let's come up with like the perfect reaction to it when you go into this again. Like it would be a big
Like
mistake.
tomorrow, I'm going to have a conversation with them tomorrow. So
Okay.
Patrick, can
I'm really
can
not sure what I'm
chime
going to
in?
say.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure, Spencer.
Sarah, please understand I'm doing my best to be kind. I think sometimes, and I don't know your personality,
Yeah.
but if you were kind of talking at that cadence that you're kind of talking with, trying to explain things, I don't know if you're just trying to rush, but like, I think sometimes when we get put into situations where we just don't kind of know how to answer things, it knocks us out of our, I guess, our automatic response system, to where it was almost like listening to you, like you went into like this defensive piece of like, oh, well, I'm good. I can do this. I can do that. Oh, I'm really good.
I think I did. I think I did
Yeah,
do that.
I think the same thing.
I'm
And
kicking myself. Like,
truly that is, I've been there. So trust me, I've been there. Now, like with the confidence that I have and the results that my agency produces, it's almost like I get to lean on that. And now people are coming to seek me. And so sometimes when I think we're in this situation of rebuilding, because it sounds like after your partner passed that you're in this kind of rebuild stage and you're a little bit uncomfortable. If you can get yourself to where you're comfortable in whatever aspect of the agency that you want to be in, if it's sales or if it's in the fulfillment side or whatever piece of this is, then that confidence is going to shine. You won't have to kind of sell yourself, because people are going to be automatically coming to you. They're going to automatically feel comfortable. They know that you can help their businesses. So I don't know if that's just the vibe that I was kind of picking up with when you told the story, but
yeah,
I would
a little
just
bit.
I would
Yeah, it
just
was.
be very cautious to not over talk, because when a person over talks, even if you are a talker, because I'm guilty of this, but I know from my 10 years of sales, if I over talk, it's almost like I talk myself out of the deal and people are uncomfortable and they subconsciously leave. They're like, oh, nope, don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, I get it. And I am a talker. And I also know, like, to let the prospect do the talking. Like, you ask the questions, let them answer, and let them just go on and sell themselves. Like, and the whole thing started from my house. And then when Scott, the owner, was walking out after doing the measurement on the window, he was walking out the door, he's going down the sidewalk, and he said, wait a minute, if for gutter cleaning, won't your landlord pay for that? Like, because I'm renting a house. And I said, yeah, but I'm vetting you. I want to make sure you guys are people that I would want to partner with. I'm not going to anyway, he kind of laughed about that. Like, good on you for, because I was like testing them. Like, I have to know that you're going to provide value, you're going to good service, and that you return calls. And anyway, but yes,
Sarah,
during the meeting,
I got a recommendation for you to like, as a final thought here.
Yeah.
There's a book that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago called Decoding Greatness. We saw the guy speak. Jeff, do you remember that guy's name? Jeff has the book in front of him. Ron Friedman, right? Yeah. Okay. So we saw this guy speak, and he gave everyone a free book. Here's what I would do. Read that book, take notes on the different parts of that book. Then I want you to go and find like some videos of like sales and these conversations. Not that, and I'm not doubting your sales ability, but I want you to decode what people are doing in the framing of it. There's patterns that exist. So part of it is like, he analyzed like Apple's website and Samsung, their biggest competitor. And Apple had like 9 call to actions and Samsung had 40, something like that. Apple had like 3 banners and Samsung had, I don't know, 7. Like, Samsung had 35 buttons and Apple had like 4. So you can go through and systematically, you could say like, hey, how much am I talking? How much does this person talk? How much does this person talk? So I could be measuring. You could even set up one of those recorders. You take your sales call, put it into it, and it will tell you the words that you said versus them. So like what Spencer's talking about. Go through it and systematically attack this, because I think if you want my honest feedback, I think the communication that you're having with some of these clients, and there's a style that is the current style that you communicate to us, I picked up on the same thing that Spencer did, is I think you got to be more like direct and
direct, right?
Yeah.
Direct.
You got to set the tone.
Authoritative. Got it.
And I think it's a lot harder. I think it can be a lot harder as a woman. I think I think especially when you're dealing with like contractors who like there's dynamics that you have to overcome.
Yeah. I mean, I just came out of a 30-year marriage and it was psychological abuse. So I've been on the other side, but I'm an overcomer. I'm a conqueror. So
overcomer, use this book to build systematic strategies on how you like, you don't have to overcome all the stuff that you've been through in this, like, but you can overcome it from a sales perspective and client, and then you can overcome it in this other part and this other part, right? Use like come up with some methodology, but I want to make sure we we're like, I try to keep these calls in an hour. We're at an hour and 42 minutes, and I want to answer Greg's question before we jump off here. So you can do this. I believe in you. Sarah, you got this. Like,
all right, thank you.
I hope you got some value from this.
I don't know if you know this one, Gap Selling.
I've heard of that one. I haven't read that one.
It's really good. All right, but thank you for all that. And you're right.
You're welcome. All right.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, cool. All right, Greg, what do you got, brother?
Sarah, you got this. Just don't let them bully you into anything. Just hold your ground. Like Patrick's saying, figure out exactly what you want out of life and reemerge. If these guys come along, there's going to be a ton of other deals. So just don't let them push into something you don't want to do. That's all I got to say there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys, a year from now, it's going to look a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my reps in. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So that's something, don't let them. So I just had a quick, what Alfredo was saying. I'm just going to echo what he was saying there on the training. I know you showed all the training inside of the, in the group and everything, and I've been through that, but it's such a high overview. It would really, really help. Just like that 5 minutes you went over earlier. I mean, that was such great value. And if somebody just sat and recorded, maybe just play out a scenario, building out the bear removal or something, and actually showing actually how to build that out, to start out a screencast to do that, that would be really, really beneficial. And again, like in a little bite-sized pieces, if you'd had this section here, this one right here, and not just 1,000 feet overview. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work, but I mean, I'll tell you, that's going to be a great value to me. And two, as I start to sell this out, the more I can get in the detail. That I learn by doing, but also got to have, kind of like the detail, the step-by-step to get that in. And once I have it, I have it. So
yeah, that's what I mean when I say I'm building a step-by-step training into the platform. So it's going to be from not knowing anything, every step of the process with, like, hey, click here for this, do this for this. Like, here's how you can, like, with scripts and all sorts of different things. So that's kind of what we're building in to the platform.
Right.
And
do that. LeadSnap is a great system, and it's huge and it's big, and that's great. And the bad thing is it's huge and it's big and it's great. There's so many moving parts there. So we just need to break it down. So I just want to, you want some feedback on it. I think that would be super beneficial moving forward. And then too, once you have it in that library, then we can refer back to it, and then we can have more of the high level conversations. Anyway, that's all I had. Yeah,
awesome. I appreciate that. That's the kind of feedback we need, and it's definitely where we're headed. Before we jump off here, I saw your hat there, Tesla. I don't know if you guys have heard of Turo. It's kind of like Airbnb with cars. So we went to Nashville and I rented a Tesla for like a week or so. That was a
Model S, or what'd you have, or a X, or
Model S, I think. Yeah, it was Model S. It's the car, right? Yeah. The 4-seater car. Yep. That was a confusing experience. Like, the guy didn't give me a lot of instructions, so I was YouTubing, but it was a lot of fun. But it was cool car for sure. Yep. All right, guys.
All right,
let's
see you
call
later.
This one. Go ahead.
No, see you guys later. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I know we had a lot of we had a wide range of topics on this one. And look, you guys, obviously, Jeff and I were talking just before this call, and, Jeff has a son, and, he was telling me about how, like, his son was, like, freaking out a little bit because of this, like, the Ukraine thing, and how like, what if they nuke us? And it was really cool because his son, it seems like, used that to make a transition that, like, hey, life is short, and we've got to kind of like, we've got to take the bull by the horns and go after it. And if you guys are sitting there on autopilot and you're not taking the actions that are necessary to get where you want to be in life, then like time is just going by. It's just running out of the clock, right? And we don't know how long we're going to be here. So I want you guys to like put a stake in the ground and make a difference, right? You guys, we've got a week before our next call. It's the same people each week that are sharing wins, and it's the same people that are like Spencer. How long did he share wins prior to him getting from like 2K to 10K? And the same with Patrick. The people that are doing the best are the people that are sharing and having these weekly wins. I want you guys to have a sense of urgency, because we're not going to be here forever. Like, look how much the world just changed in a week or the last 2 years, right? We have this opportunity, and you guys need to do something with it, right? You've got this awesome skill set. Stop like waiting for your future self and promising your future self, someday I'm going to take make the next 7 days count. Be someone that can share a win next week, because the result of sharing these constant wins is like Spencer at 25K, Patrick trying to get to 50K. These people were at like less than 10K 3 months ago, 4 months ago, right? And look where they are now. They were taking the weekly actions. A lot of you guys on this call, I love you guys. Tune in. I want to hear from you. I want more results from the rest of you guys. What do you need to do? If you've got questions, post them in the group. Let us help you. What are you struggling with? Don't be afraid to share it. Take advantage of this group. You've got myself, Jeff. There's other people on my staff that tune in and answer your questions. You got people like Spencer and Patrick. So like, use this group and like, let's create some wins, create some momentum here, right? We're almost at the end of the first quarter of the year, right? We've got like essentially like a month. So what have you done with your time so far? Are you on pace for your yearly goals? I know a lot of these people are ahead of it. Other people we haven't heard from. You guys went and you've kind of like signed up for this stuff. And then what have you done with it? So take your time, guys. Like, if you don't know where to start, just sit back and write down where you want to go. What are the problems? And then come up with a plan to get those. I'm a big believer in, if you can write down what the problem is, you're like halfway to a solution. Just identify the problem first, and then we can start to work towards it. Let's have some wins next week from some new people, guys. All right. You guys stay safe. You guys have a great week, and let's create some wins, and we'll see you guys in the group. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Everybody have a good night.
Take it easy, everybody.
Adios, amigos.